Hey everybody, it's Dr. Karen, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the most common questions that parents wonder, which is, am I actually building the skills that my kids need in order to be a successful adult one day? So obviously, if you're a parent, you know that this is something that we're thinking about in the long term, but it can be really hard to always stay consistent and know what to do in the short term on a day-to-day basis. And the thing is that I spent 14 years working in the school systems, and this question came up a lot, especially if there was a child who was struggling to be independent with certain things that in the parents' eyes or in maybe the teacher's eyes, other kids were typically able to do at their age. So this could be things like just following directions in the classroom, being able to manage their things, being able to pay attention and stick with work and keep their homework organized. So, anytime there was a concern about attention, maybe, or even behavior, if they were refusing to do work or if they were having a hard time being independent with their work, a lot of times this came up. And so there's a concern because it's number one, if they're not independent right now with their academic work, are they going to build the skills that they need just academically with reading and writing? And what's going to happen later on? So if they're struggling with this now when they're younger, and this could be elementary school, secondary school, all the way through high school, parents sometimes wonder, all right, well, they're a kid now, but what's going to happen if we don't build the strong foundation now? So the thing is that a lot of times when it comes to being independent, there is a skill known as executive functioning that is really key for building independence. And if a student is struggling academically, just kind of putting it all together, then often executive functioning is one of the culprits. So this can be something that comes up a lot if there are attention issues or if they have a specific diagnosis relating to that. And also, if there are certain academic skills like reading comprehension, things that require problem solving in multiple steps, those can be things that require executive functioning as well. And then a lot of times parents will, let's say they're wanting to get the homework done, but maybe their child is fighting with them and not wanting to sit down and do it, and it takes a long time and it's stressful for everybody. And this might also be the kid who maybe takes a long time to get ready in the morning and isn't as independent as the parents would like them to be. So again, it's kind of hard to get them out the door in the morning. And just overall, because they need a lot of hand holding and assistance to do certain things, that makes it even harder to do things like schoolwork. So that can be something that is a challenge for parents, and that can be something that can add a lot of stress, especially when you're trying to prioritize all these things that you are wanting to work on with your child, and you're thinking, it can be easy to kind of feel like in the moment, just wonder if you're doing the right thing. So I wanted to share something today that can be helpful to think about if you are experiencing any of these things, and if you're wondering, what can I do now? And am I doing the right thing for my kids to help them be independent? And that is a concept called task analysis. If you Google it, you might come up on a lot of articles about maybe applied behavior analysis. I'm not really explaining it from that standpoint. That is an area that it is kind of controversial in certain communities. I'm not really coming at it from an applied behavior analysis standpoint. I'm more coming at it from a standpoint of finding a way to help your kids be more independent with the tasks that they need to do. So, I mentioned executive functioning skills. These are the skills that enable us to engage in goal directed behavior. So, that enable you to get from point A to point B. A lot of times, when you have a child who is struggling with being independent, it's an executive functioning issue. And one of the culprits is that they have a hard time breaking down complex tasks into steps. And as a result, they don't get started, or maybe they get started and it takes them a really long time, or it's not done well, or maybe they get started and they get distracted. all those things can be an executive function issue. And that can have a huge impact on their ability to do homework independently, keep their things picked up, get themselves ready, do basic things like make themselves lunch, things like that. Things that you would eventually want them to be able to do on their own for your own sanity, and also just to know that they're growing and developing their skills. So, with task analysis, what you're doing is that you're taking a task and you're analyzing it. Go figure. Well, but basically, what that means is you're taking a task and you're breaking it down into discrete steps. The thing is that because we have a lot of independent things that we do, like getting up in the morning and taking a shower and brushing your teeth and getting dressed, making a meal, all of those things require executive functioning skills. So for example, you know how long all those things take. So when you get up in the morning, you know how to plan ahead and get out the door on time. You know how to, I don't want to say multitask, but you know how to sequence things in an order so that you're being as efficient as possible. And that enables you to get from point A to point B in a reasonable amount of time. But all those things for you are so easy, you don't have to think about them. You don't have to be very meta. The way that I am presenting this idea of task analysis is just helping your kids be a little more meta about the things that they're doing on a day to day basis. And what that's going to help you do is figure out where they might be getting stuck. Because a lot of these things that you might be asking your kids to do, something as simple as brushing their teeth, it could be something where the steps are so obvious to you, you don't have to think about them. You don't have to think, I'm going to walk into the bathroom and turn on the water and stick my toothbrush under the water and roll the toothpaste tube up and all those things that you do. You probably have a specific order that you do without even thinking about it. But if those steps aren't obvious to your child, then a lot of times you might send them into the bathroom to brush their teeth and then it doesn't get done, or it doesn't get done well, or they get distracted along the way and don't get there in time, and then you've got to redirect them. So if there is a particular area where your child is getting stuck, if you can lay out those steps for them and start to think about what are the actual steps in this activity, then it can make it a little bit clearer where they're getting stuck, because maybe they don't know where the first step. Maybe they know the first step, but something's happening along the way and they're getting stuck and they're getting distracted, and it looks like they're just, goofing around, but really they just got stuck and they're dawdling because they don't know what else to do. So if you apply this concept of task analysis and simply lay out the specific steps of that task, even if it seems like it's something so obvious, you might be surprised what you find, and this can sometimes outline exactly where your child is getting stuck so that you can help them through it. And sometimes what you'll find is that when you give them directions to do something and they don't get it done, it might be because the directions make sense to you, but they're not specific enough, because there are certain steps in there that are kind of implied that you think are obvious, but they might not be obvious to your child. So something simple would be like, let's say that you outline the steps to brush their teeth, and one of the steps is put the toothpaste on your toothbrush. And let's say that they go into the drawer and then the toothpaste doesn't have, like, let's say that all the toothpaste is like smushed at the bottom and they've got to roll up the tube. Maybe they don't know to do that, and you didn't say it because you thought, oh, they'll just figure it out. Well, maybe they are getting stuck at that point. And again, it's not that when someone struggles with these type of skills, with these executive functioning skills, it's not necessarily correlated with their intelligence. People who are really smart have issues with executive functioning skills, and a lot of times they're underachieving. They could be reaching their full potential if they were to develop these skills. So again, there's no shame in this. There's a lot of people who are highly intelligent that are struggling to kind of keep it all together and reach their full potential because they don't have developed executive functioning skills. So task analysis is something really powerful that you can start to think about, just breaking down everything that, or not everything, but maybe just pick one area that your child is struggling where it's like, why aren't they getting this done? And break it down into steps and explain it and see if maybe that can help you to figure out where they're getting stuck. So this is one key strategy that I recommend for executive functioning, but you will find that depending on the type of skill, there are actually 8 different executive functioning skills. The way that you work through things like task analysis and support your kids in helping them get through the task can vary depending on what executive functioning skills they need to work on. There are actually 8 different executive functioning skills, and I outlined them in my free guide called Raising Motivated, Self-Sufficient, Organized Kids with Executive Functioning. You can actually grab a free copy in a link that I've got in this description of this video, and it will walk you through those 8 executive functioning skills so that you can start understanding what skills your child might need to work on to become more independent so that you can start laying that groundwork for them to be successful adults. So thanks so much for listening, and feel free to tag a friend in the comments below and share this if you found it helpful. And also you can sign up for that guide in the link above the video, or below the video actually.